We are the higher self of the One. Known to this instrument in the language terms as Anthony Lee Clayton Sundberg, whose incarnation cycle has begun in this timeline of 1986. And we greet you now in light and love of the One, infinite Creator. Furthermore, we as the higher self of the entity known as Anthony Lee Clayton Sundberg shall now share the information which is required for the entity to understand and align within the vibration of the inner self. As we are here to communicate only through this instrument's inner vibration, it must remember to only trust its inner heart. The entity known as Anthony Lee Clayton Sundberg has placed many queries which we are now going to address in these timelines, which will allow the entity to have a deeper mastery of the mind, the body, and the spirit complex distortion, which is capable of teaching the entity about the inner workings of space and time. The entity known as Anthony Lee Clayton Sundberg has placed the query which are primarily related with the understanding of its life's mission. We must state that the entity's life's mission in this timeline is primarily to spread love and joy and compassion to others through its pathway of learning to stabilize in the vibration of love. It can do so. This is its primary sole mission in this time, to eventually have an effect on the planet's consciousness by helping the planetary consciousness to raise and move into the higher levels, which will eventually allow it to have a higher experience of inner reality. Furthermore, the entity must realize that within this timeline, the entity has to remember to find itself having a deeper expansion of learning the lessons of spreading love through its inner connection with the divine source. Furthermore, the entity must realize that its life's mission is to learn the lesson of love and compassion within each moment, which is ever required for it to fulfill its mission of also accessing the new earth vibration timeline, which it will be able to access by learning to stabilize in the vibration of love in each moment. This is its life's mission. We are now going to address the other portion of the query, which relates to any past life blocks or karma. We must state that the entity must realize that the karma from the past lifetimes were eventually released in the past timelines, which means that it incarnated in this timeline completely with a new, balanced karmic nature of the self, and the entity must realize that in order to balance its karmic activity, it must firstly remember to let go of any types of emotional states of consciousness, any types of memories which were not of a desirable nature, and any types of memories which may cause the entity disharmony within the self. And by letting it go, these aspects will eventually allow it to multiply and find itself in a higher level of advancement of the merger with the one source, which is ever present within it in this timeline, which is capable of teaching the entity about the vibration of living. In this incarnation with a new choice it can make The new choice it can make is the choice of choosing the vibration of moving into the aspects and the domain of love. The entity known as Anthony Lee Clayton Sundberg also must remember that in this timeline, the entity must realize that in order to let go of any karmic blockages, it must first let go of any of its inner attachment within the self of this timeline. The other query pertains to its soul origin. We must state that the entity's soul origin primarily in one of the timelines began in the location as referred to by your people in the language system vibration terms as the location of Mars, around a time of 709 million years ago, and was known by the soul name of Kyra, which meant the one infinite creator's presence. Furthermore, this is one of its timelines. And since there are infinite timelines, it must remember that this is one of the timeline of its soul origin. It wants to understand why does it feel connected to Thor and Metatron. The reason why is because their energy vibrations are similar. The entity known as Metatron being an angelic guide for this entity has been guiding it many a times, and since their vibrations are of a similar tonality when they graduate, because of this it finds inspiration from Metatron as well as connection with the entity known as Thor, who is also in a state of consciousness in a different dimension. Hence we shall now leave you, beloveds, in the light and love of the one Creator. Go forth, rejoice in power and peace. Bye.